The average Hollywood film star's ambition is to be admired by an American, courted by an Italian, married to an Englishman and have a French boyfriend. If you want to sacrifice the admiration of many men for the criticism of one, go ahead, get married. We are taught you must blame your father, your sisters, your brothers, the school, the teachers, but never blame yourself. It's never your fault. But it's always your fault, because if you wanted to change, you're the one who has got to change. Life is hard. After all, it kills you. Sometimes I wonder if men and women really suit each other. Perhaps they should live next door and just visit now and then. Dressing up is a bore. At a certain age, you decorate yourself to attract the opposite sex, and at a certain age, I did that. But I'm past that age. Being a housewife and a mother is the biggest job in the world, but if it doesn't interest you, don't do it. I would have made a terrible mother. Acting is the most minor of gifts. After all, Shirley Temple could do it when she was 4. Only the really plain people know about love. The very fascinating ones try so hard to create an impression that they soon exhaust their talents. To keep your character intact, you cannot stoop to filthy acts. It makes it easier to stoop the next time. Plain women know more about men than beautiful women do. If you want to change attitudes, start with a change in behavior. Acting is a nice childish profession, pretending you're someone else and, at the same time, selling yourself. I think most of the people involved in any art always secretly wonder whether they are really there because they're good or there because they're lucky. Why slap them on the wrist with feather when you can belt them over the head with a sledgehammer? Life is to be lived. If you have to support yourself, you had bloody well better find some way that is going to be interesting. And you don't do that by sitting around. If you obey all the rules, you miss all the fun. Love has nothing to do with what you are expecting to get, only with what you are expecting to give, which is everything. If you always do what interests you, at least one person is pleased. I have many regrets, and I'm sure everyone does. The stupid things you do, you regret, if you have any sense, and if you don't regret them, maybe you're stupid. My greatest strength is common sense. I'm really a standard brand, like Campbell's tomato soup or Baker's chocolate. It would be a terrific innovation if you could get your mind to stretch a little further than the next wisecrack. As for me, prizes are nothing. My prize is my work. I never lose sight of the fact that just being is fun. I never realized until lately that women were supposed to be the inferior sex. Death will be a great relief. No more interviews. It's a rather rude gesture, but at least it's clear what you mean. When I started out, I didn't have any desire to be an actress or to learn how to act. I just wanted to be famous. If you want to give up the admiration of thousands of men for the disdain of one, go ahead, get married. It's life, isn't it? You plow ahead and make a hit. And you plow on and someone passes you. Then someone passes them. Time levels. Trying to be fascinating is an asinine position to be in. Marriage is a series of desperate arguments people feel passionately about. My greatest strength is common sense. I'm really a standard brand, like Campbell's tomato soup or Baker's chocolate. Only the really plain people know about love. The very fascinating ones try so hard to create an impression that they soon exhaust their talents. I don't care what is written about me so long as it isn't true. I don't care what is written about me as long as it isn't true. Plain women know more about men than beautiful ones do. Someone asked someone who was about my age, "How are you?" The answer was, "Fine." If you don't ask for details. Someone asked someone who was about my age, "How are you?" The answer was, "Fine." If you don't ask for details. Living wasn't easy for you, was it? You couldn't enter your own life, but you could be someone else. You weren't you then, you were safe. Drive on. We'll sweep up the blood later. The most minor gifts and not a very high-class way to earn a living. After all, Shirley Temple could do it at the age of 4. Acting is a nice childish profession, pretending you're someone else and, at the same time, selling yourself. As one goes through life, one learns that if you don't paddle your own canoe, you don't move. It's life, isn't it? You plow ahead and make a hit. And you plow on and someone passes you. Then someone passes them. Time levels. The noise is so loud that birds, waves, and people are silenced by the frantic roar of morons screaming and tearing back and forth, devastating the peace of a quiet day at the beach and the joy of fellow boatmen on the water. If you obey all of the rules, you miss all of the fun. Loved people are loving people. Life's what's important. Walking, houses, family, birth and pain and joy, and then death. I love rain. It's lucky, I always think. Friendship, if somebody holds out his hand toward you, you've got to reach and take it. There are too many people alone, and if you're lucky enough for somebody to want you as a friend, it's an obligation. Don't give in. Make your own trail. Don't moan. Don't complain. Think positively. All my life, I've stayed at parties too long because I didn't know when to go. What acting means is that you've got to get out of your own skin. It's a new low for actresses when you have to wonder what is between her ears instead of her legs. We were brought up in the school that teaches, you do what the script tells you. Deliver the goods without comment. Live it, do it, or shut up. After all, the writer is what's important. If the script is good and you don't get in its way, it will come off okay. I never discussed a script with Spencer Tracy, we just did it. The same with Hank, Henry Fonda, in On Golden Pond. Naturally and unconsciously we joined into what I call a musical necessity, the chemistry that brings out the essence of the characters and the work. Life is very hard, isn't it? It does kill you, after all. I won't go to a restaurant to eat with friends, always join them afterwards for coffee. In company I always get over-enthusiastic, and this leads to indigestion. People who want to be famous are really loners. Or they should be. You learn in life that the only person you can really correct and change is yourself. Man who stands on toilet, gets high on pot. When a man says he likes a woman in a skirt, I tell him to try one. A boy sows a wild oat or two, the world winks. A girl does the same, scandal. Don't moan, don't whine, don't blame. Just get on with it. Time is the stuff of which life is made. It's a force of life, sex. You can't deny the thrill of riding high, wide, and handsome with someone you love. I have loved and been in love. There's a big difference. A sharp knife cuts the quickest and hurts the least. There are no laurels in life, just new challenges. I think everyone is an opportunist if they have an opportunity. Show me an actress who isn't a personality, and I'll show you a woman who isn't a star. I would have made a terrible parent. The first time my child didn't do what I wanted, I'd kill him. How wonderful are the women and men in the world who feed us. Especially those who feed us with no salary. The mothers, I thought. The wives. Only when a woman decides not to have children, can a woman live like a man. That's what I've done. To be loved is very demoralizing. I don't believe in marriage. It's bloody impractical. To love, honor, and obey. If it weren't, you wouldn't have to sign a contract. Children need boundaries, so they can know how far they have to go to get beyond them. I believe how I act today will affect how I am tomorrow. I have had 20 years of perfect companionship with a man among men. He is a rock and a protection. I have never regretted it. I could peel you like a pear and God Himself would see the justice in it. Not everyone is lucky enough to understand how delicious it is to suffer. It's a bore, when you find you've begun to rot. I have always lived my life exactly as I wanted. I've tried to please no one but myself, but I'm entirely content. I can sit back in my old age and not regret a single moment, not wish to change a single thing. It's what I wish for you, a life with no regrets. The calla lilies are in bloom again. I don't feel the slightest interest in the next world, I think it's here. And I think anything good that you're going to do, you should do for other people here and not so you can try to have a happy time in the next world. The time to make up your mind about people is never. I welcome death. In death there are no interviews. I remember as a child going around with votes for women balloons. I learnt early what it is to be snubbed for a good cause. Who is Katharine Hepburn? It took me a long time to create that creature. My father, a surgeon and urologist, studied sex professionally all his life. Before he died at 82, he told me he hadn't come to any conclusions about it at all. If it interests you, they don't have to pay you. It's a fascinating business anyway. It's very nice to be paid, but when you do thrilling material, it's like buying a piece of furniture that's really good. I can't say I believe in prizes. I was a whiz in the three-legged race. That's something you can win. You sell yourself. The part that I sell is the creature. The adorable part. Just write the best you can about the things that concern you most. I never lose sight of the fact that just being is fun. I think the reason that very few people really fall in love with anyone is that they're not willing to pay the price. I'm what is known as gradually disintegrating. I don't fear the next world, or anything. I don't fear hell, and I don't look forward to heaven. I always wanted to be a movie actress. I thought it was very romantic. And it was. People have grown fond of me, like some old building. I thought, can you think of any really good reason not to do it? Except that, oh, I'm so shy, or oh, my private life, or oh, are they going to find out how boring I am? you know. And that was the only reason now, in a sense, not to do television. Because it certainly is a method of expression, which has to be accepted as these things come along. If you have fame, you never feel that you have fame, if you have the brains of a flea. Because fame is something that's over back of you. It ain't ahead. Not ahead at all. I mean, if you've done it that's great, but what are you going to do now? Is the only thing that matters. I like Judy Holliday. She looks like a Monet model. And she's so defenseless. I like defenseless people. They're the best. Bogart was like Henry Fonda, proud and happy to be an actor. It's either some kind of electricity or some kind of energy. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I've got it. The lack of work destroys people. In some ways I've lived my life like a man, made my own decisions, etc. I've been as terrified as the next person, but you've got to keep going. The shakes stop if you drink enough, but then so does everything else. If you lead a public life, people are much more on to you than you think. Without discipline, there's no life at all. I don't give a damn about marriage. But I do care about honor. It is the ordinary woman who knows something about love. The gorgeous ones are too busy being gorgeous. You can say or write anything about me you like. Just don't, for any reason, ever tell the truth. To live creatively free, do what you know how to do now, then act as if you know how to do the rest. I am a total me person. The notion that work is a burden is a terrible mistake. Working and facing up to one's responsibilities, that's happiness. I've always thought men and women are not too well suited to each other. It's inevitable that they should come together, but, again, how well suited are they to live together in the same house? You never feel that you have fame. It's always in back of you. Our Constitution was not intended to be used by any group to foist its personal religious beliefs on the rest of us. Afraid of death? Not at all. Be a great relief. Then I wouldn't have to talk to you. Now how can anybody look at that and not believe in God? I mean, how can anybody look at this and not believe there is some higher power, some divine force at work in the universe greater than man, some God that created it, that created all this, that created us? If you survive long enough, you're revered rather like an old building. I was fearless and lawless. Life is full of censorship. I can't spit in your eye. I realized long ago that skirts are hopeless. Anytime I hear a man say he prefers a woman in a skirt, I say, try one. Try a skirt. Listen to the song of life. If you're given a choice between money and sex appeal, take the money. As you get older, the money will become your sex appeal. Silence the artist and you have silenced the most articulate voice the people have. I was born lucky, and I have lived lucky. What I had was used. What I still have is being used. Lucky. Isn't it fun getting older? Is really a terrible fallacy. That's like saying I prefer driving an old car with a flat tire. I don't care what they say about me, as long as it's not the truth. The calla lilies are in bloom again. Such a strange flower, suitable to any occasion. I carried them on my wedding day, and now I place them here in memory of something that has died. You don't pick who you fall in love with. There are so few people to love. It's hard for one adult to even like another. Almost impossible. I don't think that work ever really destroyed anybody. I think that lack of work destroys them a hell of a lot more. Plain women know more about men than beautiful ones do. But beautiful women don't need to know about men. It's the men who have to know about beautiful women. It's not what you start in life, it's what you finish. Everyone thought I was bold and fearless and even arrogant, but inside I was always quaking. It is the plain women who know about love. The beautiful women are too busy being fascinating. Enemies are so stimulating. I don't regret anything I've ever done, as long as I enjoyed it at the time. What in the world would we do without our libraries? I find a woman's point of view much grander and finer than a man's. Once a crowd chased me for an autograph. Beat it, I said, go sit on a tack. We made you, they said. Like hell you did, I told them. It's how you live that really counts. I was brought up by two extremely intelligent people who gave me the greatest gift that man can give anyone, and that is freedom from fear. Two of an actress's greatest assets are love and pain. A great actress, even a good actress, must have plenty of both in her life. I don't believe in religion. I believe the example of Christ. I believe in the example of a perfect human being that if you can live for other people away from yourself you will be happy. If you live for yourself you will be unhappy and then you will not be able to sleep or do anything else, finally. I think insofar, and I really believe this, insofar as people do live with the other fellow, God, in mind, they have to be happy, you know, because it raises you up. When I've been unsuccessful, I've been controlled. When I've been successful, I've been in control. I like to move fast, and wearing high heels was tough, and low heels with a skirt is unattractive. So pants took over. If you need a helping hand, you can find one at the end of your arm. He's worked his entire life and he's never lived a single moment, I mean not a moment, in the real world. Acting is the perfect idiot's profession. Wouldn't it be great if people could get to live suddenly as often as they die suddenly? I don't fear death, it must be like a long sleep. If you follow all of the rules, you'll miss all of the fun. Life gets harder the smarter you get, the more you know. I can remember walking as a child. It was not customary to say you were fatigued. It was customary to complete the goal of the expedition. It's a business you go into because you're an egocentric. It's a very embarrassing profession. I'm an atheist, and that's it. I believe there's nothing we can know except that we should be kind to each other and do what we can for people. With all the opportunities one had, I could have done more. And if I'd done more, I could have been quite remarkable. What you see before you, my friend, is the result of a lifetime of chocolate. Love fattens on smooth words. People think that I'm tough and strong and that I kicked my way through everything. But they are wrong. The truth is that when I was young I was adorable and a trembling wreck. The only time I am ever miserable is when I do something just for the money. I loved Spencer Tracy. I would have done anything for him. Love has nothing to do with what you are expecting to get, only what you are expecting to give, which is everything. What you will receive in return varies. But it really has no connection with what you give. You give because you love and cannot help giving. I'm a legend because I've survived over a long period of time and still seem to be master of my fate. I'm still paddling the goddamned boat myself. Being an actor is such a humiliating experience because you are selling yourself to the public, your face, your personality, and that is humiliating. As you get older, it becomes more humiliating because you've got less to sell. I think all good actors are personalities. If they're not stars. What makes you a star is horsepower. You give because you love and cannot help giving. If you have to support yourself, you had bloody well better find some way that is going to be interesting. You politicians remain professional because the voters remain amateur. Cold sober, I find myself absolutely fascinating. You can't change the music of your soul. Few people know what they mean when they say, "I love you." Well, what does the word love mean? It means total interest. I think the reason very few people really fall in love with anyone is they're not willing to pay the price. The price is you have to adjust yourself to them. I wear my sort of clothes to save me the trouble of deciding which clothes to wear. I've made 43 pictures. Naturally, I'm adorable in all of them. Vitality. That's the pursuit of life, isn't it? Nobody owes anybody anything. It's up to each individual to set high standards for himself or herself, and to set about working hard and creating a solid future. The terrible thing about acting in the theater is that you have to do it at night. You are the only person you can actually change. I would have been a terrible mother because I'm basically a very selfish human being. Not that that has stopped most people going off and having children. I have no romantic feelings about age. Either you are interesting at any age or you are not. There is nothing particularly interesting about being old, or being young, for that matter. The woman's position in the world today is so much harder than a man's that it makes me choke every time I hear a man complain about anything. As one goes through life, one learns that if you don't paddle your own canoe, you don't move. Let's just say that where a change was required, I adjusted. In every relationship that exists, people have to seek a way to survive. If you really care about the person, you do what's necessary, or that's the end. For the first time, I found that I really could change, and the qualities I most admired in myself I gave up. I stopped being loud and bossy. Oh, all right. I was still loud and bossy, but only behind his back. I have not lived as a woman. I have lived as a man. I've just done what I damn well wanted to, and I've made enough money to support myself, and ain't afraid of being alone. The thing about life is that you must survive. Life is going to be difficult, and dreadful things will happen. What you do is move along, get on with it, and be tough. Not in the sense of being mean to others, but being tough with yourself and making a deadly effort not to be defeated. Life can be wildly tragic at times, and I've had my share. But whatever happens to you, you have to keep a slightly comic attitude. In the final analysis, you have got not to forget to laugh. You can't just be talented, you have to be terribly smart and energetic and ruthless. You also have to become necessary to people, by working hard and well and bringing more than your bones and your skin to the project. Don't just show up. Transform the work, yourself, and everybody around you. Be needed. Be interesting. Be something no one else can be, and consistently. Kindness is one of the greatest gifts you can bestow upon another. If someone is in need, lend them a helping hand. Do not wait for a thank you. True kindness lies within the act of giving without the expectation of something in return. Never complain. Never explain. What the hell, you might be right, you might be wrong, but don't just avoid.